Yes, hello everybody. This is Gabriel with an update on the cryptocurrency market here, especially Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, you certainly have heard, is making new highs in a series, right? Well, Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency market, and especially Bitcoin, is behaving as it typically does, right? It has entered into a second and into another exponential up lag. We see it here on the monthly chart. So the last couple of months is basically the beginning of an important longer term exponential up lag. I've talked about that many times during previous updates. So what we see here, this start was basically comparable to what we had seen back here in 2015, right? So these are the first couple of months of that exponential up lag. Well, by the way, all these charts are logarithmic charts, right? So we see an exponential increase in a logarithmic chart. So that's a pretty steep increase in nominal prices, right? So what we see here, we're in an early stage of an exponential up lag like this. And here prices went from 300 well to 20,000, right? So this up lag started at around 10,000, where you can then make your maths. And my goal is, my next goal is 50,000 and then 100,000 as a price target for one Bitcoin. I've mentioned that several times. And well, let's have a quick look here. Well, these recent price movement, right? So these last 4 months, well, 3 months. This is January. And this bar is a January bar, just 1 week. So why is it so? Well, it's going off very quickly, right? So we've seen that in the previous exponential up lag. Well, it started slow, right? And we had a couple of monthly bars, like decent sized but not really big bars. Well, the big bars came at the end of this exponential up lag, which is typically, right, it's just a blow off top, an exhaustion in price. So what we see here, well, it starts very volatile in the beginning. So that's a bit astonishing, right? Well, I believe where it comes from is, well, this is a consolidation pattern, right, on a horizontal line. And I'm basically, my trading style is specialized on these types of patterns. And it's a very complicated consolidation because these are patterns within patterns. So that means it's an accumulation of patterns. And this, in every pattern, like, brings energy into the system. And in such a consolidation, well, energy is basically stored. And once it's resolved to the upside, well, which it did, and I'm coming to that a little bit later at slightly below 10,000. So once this is resolved to the upside, well, energy gets released. And the more energy is stored in here, and there's a huge amount of it, and a lot of that energy actually came from this bar, right? This is the Corona spike bar. A lot of energy was introduced into the system with this pin bar. And now we see, the explosion, what comes out of this stored energy. That's a release of energy, right? So this is what explains. This is not an exhaustion move. That's the beginning of another exponential up lag that might last. Well, we can see it here, right? It went from mid 2015 to end 2017. So it's about 2 years long, right? That this new leg should last. So 2 to 3 years typically they last. So we just started it. We're just in the early months of this up lag. Well, we can see here as well on the weekly, well, prices go exponential on a logarithmic chart, right? So that's quite astonishingly. So let's have a quick look here. So where you see the green arrow, that was the original, my original buy entry signal. So if this high up here, which is slightly above 10,000, if this gets broken, well, this is the entry signal. Well, this week high didn't get broken. That was in October 19. Didn't get broken with this price activity. It didn't get broken with this price activity. Price came very close, right? Well, it got broken with this here, and that was in July of last year. And this was the long-term entry signal, right? You might remember I've done a video on that. So if you want to read more about like this entry signal, how I came to this conclusion, you can actually go to my webpage, which is IntuFX.com. And you can read the article, which was written here in October 2019. Have you heard the starting shot of Bitcoin? And I'm referring to it. And this this signal actually lasted all those months, and then here it triggered, and this was the long-term entry signal. Well, it went off, it came back, tested the 10,000, and then it went completely then it ballooned completely, making a stop run. A slingshot move to the upside. So now what we see here, well, going exponential on a logarithmic chart, it's pretty scary, right? But the most profits are actually in these type of charting situations, right? Going exponential in a logarithmic chart. So it basically means you want to let your profits run, right? The biggest amount of profit comes in the last exhaustion push. Well, we might be there, we might get there, and we might actually be there already. So let's have a look. Let's have a quick thought about, okay, how can we pinpoint or try to pinpoint the end of such a move? Because I mean, one thing is clear: the higher it goes, well, the deeper it will fall, right? So it's not going forever. We'll see a big pullback. It might come to the 15,000 level, for example. Well, now we're at 40,000, so it might come back 60%, right? So let's see in order to find a way to get out of this long trade to bank in some profits. Well, the weekly chart has gone exponential. We're way overextended from the moving averages, right? Now let's have a look at the daily chart. Well, the daily chart was running smoothly all here, right? Towards the end of last year, really smoothly. Only as of here, like as of mid-December, this is when I did my last crypto update. As of mid-December, well, here it started to go exponential, right? Now as well on the daily chart, we're way overextended. So we on the monthly, we're way overextended. Then came in the weekly, we are now way overextended. And now the daily starts to become overextended, right? Now the 4-hour chart was running smoothly, and just recently, like as of here, as the 22nd, like the last week of 2000, no, so that's the beginning. So as of the second week of 2021, as of, well, this push is telling me, well, we might actually have started here an exhaustion move, right? So now the 4-hour is might be in an exhaustion phase. Well, let's have a look now at these lower time frames. Again, this is the 4-hour. Well, the hourly chart still looks smooth, right? And I believe, in order, it's just an intuitive guess I'm giving here. I think if the hourly starts to increase exponentially, if we see an exhaustion move on the hourly, well, then it might actually be time to bank in some profits, because the daily is way overextended, right? So we've just made new highs on the Bitcoin. Bitcoin is at 40,000. In my article 1.5 years ago, I talked about a target price of 100,000. And if you thought, well, that is kind of a little bit too far out, well, now we're at 40,000, right? And I guess now it becomes obvious to everybody that 100,000 is not could be possible, right? Even within this year. I'm not saying we get there, but it's the charts tell me that it's possible. Let's have a look at some other coins. So what is fueling this exponential increase? Now I always like to look for reasons, and one reason, well, let's look at Litecoin. Let's have a look at some of those macro, the big coins. So Litecoin has made a new high here on the weekly, above an important high, right? It has broken that level. So breaking these levels typically introduces some euphoria, right, of crypto participants, and this fuels the whole market. And I think that was an important push actually for prices to accelerate to the upside even more. Then we have Ethereum. Ethereum is very close here on the monthly chart. It's very close, right? To make a new all-time high, same as Bitcoin did. All the most of the other coins haven't made new all-time highs. So Ethereum basically is the second one that is just about to do that. And I think this is now what drives the market, Bitcoin higher. Everybody is now glued to this, and I think this is going to break, and we might get a push, right? A push well above this level, a slingshot or a stop run move. And this then might actually bring, the whole cryptocurrency market in a situation where it's well overheated, and where it might actually then be time to bank in some profits. Now, Bitcoin Cash, one of the big ones, is interesting. It's an interesting chart too. It's basically it's lagging this whole price activity, but there's a very important double top here on the weekly, right? So we might actually as well break this one. So either Ethereum is going to run this run over this important resistance, or Bitcoin Cash. Like either of both might actually bring in this final euphoric move we might get, which might bring Bitcoin some way higher. Well, there are always risks involved, right? We had a big sell-off of Ripple, the XRP coin. As you see, it sold off from 0.6 to 0.2. So there's some SEC. The SEC is looking into whether it's a security or not. So there's always some risk involved, obviously, with investing with cryptocurrencies. But there's a lot of opportunities as well. So just on a side note, so the cryptocurrency market was basically driven here by this increase in Bitcoin. It went from 10,000, so it quadrupled, right, within a couple of months. The altcoins, like the smaller coins, they didn't follow that price move. So it means that a lot of institutional money, go back and read my article, we are in the phase of institutional money entering the market. So institutional money is going into the big coins, right? Big coins like Bitcoin, but as well it has just recently, like a week or 2 weeks ago, it has started to move as well into these other macro coins, which are Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin, like the next big numbers after Bitcoin. And just a week ago, I've experienced that there might actually be a shift now. Not only money from Bitcoin goes into these other macro coins, but I see as well that the altcoins are starting to move quite a bit. So you might actually see here that those are waking up too now, the altcoins. There's a leverage. An altcoin is even more volatile than a Bitcoin. So typically it has a leverage of 5. So this might actually bring in the last euphoria that the market needs in order to get then a pullback. A pullback or consolidation might last for a couple of months. So typically when Bitcoin enters into a consolidation, let's just have a look here at these at some of the consolidations. Okay, I cannot make this bigger. I'm looking at the weekly chart. That's the last exponential up lag. And we see here the up runs and then the consolidation. Up run, consolidation, up run, consolidation. So it basically comes back to the 21 moving average each and every time, right? And it respects this moving average. It means it doesn't break it considerably. So we can see pullbacks or consolidations. They last for a couple of weeks, right? Like 2 weekly bars, 3 weekly bars, or here a couple of more. So between 2 weeks and 1.5 months, right? And this is what happens. Well, in price we actually see these pullbacks. It's a reduction in price between 30 and 40%, right? And this is what you have to go through basically. A couple of months and like 30 to 40% price reduction. So whenever we've seen the top, well, this is what you can expect, right? A consolidation for a month, but it might actually take a little bit longer because we have run up so much. So let's say between 1 and 2 months, and a consolidation of 30 to 40, well, let's say 50%. Well, where would it go? Well, it would go down here to the 20,000 level, right? So this is what might come up. We move, let's say this is the top, well, that we see a consolidation that balances between that bounces between 40,000 and 20,000, right? So this is what you have to have in mind in order to decide, well, you want to take some profits off, or do you just want to stay in this ride? And you can, well, you can expect that this is what's going to happen, right? You could as well say, well, I'm a very long-term investor, and I'm just keeping my stop behind, well, slightly or with some distance behind the 21, because the 21 can get here tested, right? So if you want to stay in, you just keep your stop with some distance, right, with some margin behind the 21, and you allow these pullbacks to actually touch and even go beyond the 21. So the 21 on the weekly chart is a great, yeah, it's a great stop trail a rule, right? You can just put it there and just to protect some of the profits you have, right? And just to stay in within this move, or if you're more, yeah, in the medium term. If you are a more medium-term investor, or you might actually want to bank in some profits, all profits, or some profits, right? You could take off like 50%. Then you're kind of between a long-term and a medium-term investor. So what we've just recently seen here, like these lines, these are all patterns, right? And I've noted that these patterns, so this one here is a 1 hour pattern. Now these ones here, well, that comes from a 5 and a 1 minute chart. So these patterns, they come in on a lower and lower time frame. And this is exactly what produces, right, these last exponential pushes, these exhaustion moves. We might have started here on the 4 hour chart, or we have started an exhaustion move. We might actually now go into, yeah, the last phase and have this going, making this exponential, exhausting the hourly chart. And then I think it's good. It's good to be satisfied with what you got out. But my eye now is here on Ethereum. Like I want to see, ideally, I want to see this this last high to be broken, and my eye is on Bitcoin Cash. I want to see if maybe this important resistance is broken, which should give another push higher. So that's it. Well, one more thing I wanted to show you. So here on my website, you can go. Well, it's here. It's on the very right hand side. It says updates. You click there. And then what comes up here, these are my updates, right? I do it just like this one on futures and Forex, and then down here on crypto. So you can click here and you find, and then here my playlist, and then you get all the updates from the last couple of months. And you can follow and understand how the cryptocurrency market actually works and behaves. So long for this update. Thank you.